Yeah, so I think the sentiment this year has been generally positive. I think the Benelux region itself has actually had a relatively good 2012 so far, particularly if you compare that to the rest of Europe. I was on a panel this morning talking about cross-border M&A, and actually cross-border M&A involving Benelux companies is up significantly actually over last year, particularly outbound transactions. There's been a probably 60% increase in the value of deals outbound from the Benelux this year compared to last year. And even inbound has been basically flat, which if you compare that with the rest of the European M&A scene, which has seen a decline of about 15% in most of the rest of Europe, means that actually Benelux is doing pretty well. Yeah, sure. I mean, we had some quite interesting comments actually from corporate executives here, particularly about their businesses in southern European countries, and they were saying that sort of 4 or 5 years ago they'd sort of made investments in certain southern European countries, and they had a decent market potential, decent business plan, and all of a sudden the European sort of Eurozone crisis has caused some of those plans to be reevaluated. So I think corporates are looking carefully at what their investment plans are for the future. I mean, they are still interested in markets in Europe. I think there is still demand in Europe, but I think we are going through a difficult patch at the moment. So I think as soon as the quicker that gets resolved, I think the better for everybody. I mean, private equity firms are in a very interesting position this year. A lot of them are coming up to the end of the 5-year period in which the money they raised during the boom year of 2007, the sort of expiry date for investments with those commitments from their limited partners is coming to an end this year. So there is like a wall of money, if you like. The clock is ticking for many of those private equity firms, and I think they are thinking hard about how and when to invest that capital. Having said that, they're also competing with cash-rich corporates who are also sitting on large amounts of excess cash on balance sheet. So I think it could potentially be an interesting period in Q4 as to how that plays out. And interesting enough, our own sort of deal flow indicator actually shows a jump in M&A activity in the sort of second half of this year, which normally indicates there'll be more M&A announced deals towards the end of the year and also in Q1. So I think we could be looking for quite an interesting set of activity in Q4 and possibly Q1 next year.